Okay. Thank you all for joining us for our June webinar. Welcome back to those who were with us last month. And Summer, are you able to add people in while I'm talking? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Welcome back to those who were with us last month, and a warm welcome to all the families joining us today. Today we will be talking about understanding dementia behaviors, what is normal and what is not. Dementia behaviors can feel confusing, unpredictable, and sometimes even frightening for families, but there is a science behind why they happen. Today, we're going to break down what's normal, what's not, and how to interpret the behaviors as meaningful communication. And our goal today is to give you clarity, confidence, and practical tools that you can use immediately. We will be hosting a short Q&A at the end of this webinar. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot them down along the way. My name is Priscilla Goldston, and I oversee customer support at our Central Maryland location. And I also serve as one of our certified senior advisors.
And my name is Summer Sigalski. I am also a certified senior advisor, and I am the general manager here at our Central Maryland location of Second Family.
So to kick off this amazing webinar, one of the things I want you to jot down at the bottom, I have my phone number. You can text or call me, as well as my email address. I want to mention something exciting about a really important resource that is now available to families dealing with dementia. We are now partnered closely with Pocket RN through the CMS Guide program. And this was created specifically to support dementia diagnosed clients and their caregivers. Many families don't even realize that their loved one has a documented diagnosis that they can qualify for up to 72 hours of no-cost home care services per year. And this can be a huge relief for caregivers who need support or a break. And if this is something that you are interested in, then please write down my number, take my email address. You can reach out to me anytime after this webinar. I'll be able to walk you through the process. I'll be able to help you with the consent steps and get everything set up so that you can take advantage of these services. So, dementia behaviors don't come out of nowhere. They come from a very specific change that's happening inside the brain. And as dementia progresses, the hippocampus, frontal lobes, and temporal lobes begin to shrink. These areas control your memory, your judgment, impulse control, and emotional regulation. When they're damaged, the brain can no longer interpret the world accurately. Sensory information gets distorted, communication becomes harder, and even simple tasks will begin to feel overwhelming. So behaviors become the person's way of expressing fear, frustration, or their unmet needs. When we understand the brain's changes, we now can respond with empathy instead of frustration. Normal aging affects processing speed, attention, and short-term recall, but it does not disrupt daily functioning or personality. Occasional forgetfulness, slower thinking, or needing more time to adapt to change are typical age-related shifts, not early dementia. The key difference is that with normal aging, people can still learn, they can retain new information, and manage their day independently. These changes reflect a brain that's aging, not a brain that's losing its ability to function. So these behaviors are extremely common and expected as dementia advances. Repetitive questions, shadowing a caregiver, increased anxiety, mild paranoia, and sundowning are all part of the brain's declining ability to store new information and self-regulate. So when someone asks the same question every 2 minutes, it's not intentional. Their brain literally cannot hold on to the answer. And when they follow you from room to room, it's because you represent safety and orientation. So understanding these behaviors as normal helps families shift from the question of why are they doing this to how can I support them through this? While many behaviors are going to be expected, there are some that should immediately raise concern for you. So, any sudden or dramatic changes in behavior are not typical of dementia. Dementia is a slow process. So, if someone becomes rapidly agitated, very confused all of a sudden, very aggressive, or withdrawn, this is when we want to think about scheduling an appointment with their primary care or their neurologist. Infections like UTIs or pneumonia, dehydration, medication reactions, or pain can all cause these sudden behavioral shifts, and when it's accompanied with dementia. New hallucinations, refusal to eat or drink, or new wandering behaviors also require evaluation. And a good rule of thumb is if the changes are happening fast or rapidly, it's not the dementia, it's a sign of an acute medical issue on top of the dementia. One of the most effective tools for understanding behaviors is something called the ABC model. So A is antecedent, B is behavior, C, consequence. The antecedent is what happened right before the behavior. It's a noise, a request, a change in environment. The behavior is the specific action, not the emotion, but the observable behavior. And the consequence is what happened afterward. Did the behavior stop? Did it escalate or get reinforced? This model helps us identify patterns and triggers so that we can prevent behaviors instead of reacting to them. So, for example, let's say the antecedent is a caregiver is telling mom that it's time for a shower. The behavior becomes mom being agitated or refusing the shower. The consequence becomes the caregiver's backing off, which unintentionally is reinforcing that refusal behavior. So when we break it down this way, we can now see that the trigger in this example might be fear of modesty or confusion. Changing the approach, like offering choices or warming up the bathroom, can completely change the outcome and help avoid refusal behavior. Agitation is one of the most common dementia behaviors, and it's almost always rooted in fear or overstimulation. So the person may be overwhelmed by certain noises going on, or they're confused by instructions being given to them, or maybe they are unable to express their own discomfort. So instead of correcting or explaining, which will often increase their anxiety, what we want to focus on is reassurance and simplification. We want to reduce the noise if that's the trigger. We want to offer simple choices, help them maintain their routines, and always check for physical needs like pain, if they're hungry, if toileting is something they're going through. When we address the underlying cause, the agitation will decrease naturally. Wandering is not aimless, it's purposeful. People may be trying to return to a familiar place, follow an old routine, or relieve restlessness. Sometimes they believe they need to go to work, pick up children, or return home, even if that home no longer exists. Safety is the priority, but so is their dignity. Tools like door alarms, visual barriers, and structured daytime activity help can reduce wandering. Redirection works best if it feels purposeful. So, can you help me fold these towels is far more effective than you cannot go outside. Paranoia often develops because the brain is trying to fill in memory gaps. If someone misplaces their wallet and can't remember doing it, the brain creates a story for them, often that someone stole it. Delusions aren't intentional, they're the brain's attempt to make sense of missing information. The best response is validation and reassurance. So saying, I can see why that would upset you. Let's look for it together. Arguing or correcting only is going to increase their distress because the person cannot access the logic needed to understand your explanation. Sundowning is a real physiological phenomenon, and it's caused by changes in the brain's internal clock. So, as daylight fades, the brain is struggling to regulate the sleep wake cycles, and this will lead to confusion, restlessness, and agitation. Fatigue from the day also can play a role. When we want to reduce sundowning by increasing morning light exposure, we want to help keep their evenings calm. We want to limit caffeine around those hours. And we also want to try and use soft lighting settings. Predictable routines also help the brain feel anchored when the environment becomes harder for them to interpret. And that's usually around the evening hours. So, one of the most important concepts in dementia care is that behavior is communication. So, when their language starts to decline, the body is going to speak for them. Pacing may mean anxiety or boredom. Calling out may be a signal for their loneliness or they're experiencing pain. Refusing care may reflect embarrassment or fear. Aggression is almost always a fear response, not an intentional harm. When we interpret behaviors as messages, we can respond with compassion and problem solving instead of frustration. Unfortunately, pain is one of the most overlooked causes of behavioral change in dementia. Many individuals lose the ability to describe pain verbally, so it ends up showing up as agitation or withdrawal or resistance to care, changes in their sleep. And so, if a behavior appears suddenly or seems very out of character, pain should be the first thing that we want to consider here. Look for nonverbal cues like they're grimacing, they might be guarding a limb, or their appetite is beginning to change. Treating pain often dramatically reduces challenging behaviors. So, like I mentioned earlier, any sudden change in behavior should prompt a medical evaluation. UTIs, dehydration, medication interactions, constipation, and infections can all cause acute confusion or agitation. New hallucinations, severe sleep disruption, or refusal to eat and drink also require attention. Dementia itself changes very slowly. So anything that is occurring quickly, randomly, out of the blue, it is a red flag. And families often assume that it's just the dementia going on, but early intervention and paying attention to those body cues can prevent hospitalizations, and it'll also help improve their quality of life. So the CARE approach, another acronym that you can follow through with when you are handling somebody that you love with dementia, or if you're a caregiver. The CARE approach is a simple, effective framework that families can use every day. So C, connect. Connect first, and then approach calmly. Use their name and make eye contact. And then assess. Assess what might need to be, what is being unmet. Are they tired? Are they hungry, scared, overstimulated? And then redirect with a simple and meaningful activity. And then finally, adjust their environment. The lighting, the noise, the temperature, and clutter all influences behavior as well. CARE helps us respond in a way that reduces stress and preserves their dignity. CARE works because it slows us down and it shifts us from reacting into understanding. So when caregivers connect first, the brain interprets safety. When we assess needs, we're looking beneath the surface of the behavior. Redirecting gives the person something purposeful to focus on, and adjusting the environment removes triggers before they escalate. It's a proactive, not punitive approach. For individuals that are living with dementia, the emotional environment matters more than the task itself. So the CARE approach aligns with how the brain processes information at this stage. Connection is reducing fear. Assessment helps us identify the real cause of distress. Redirection supports success without confrontation. In environment, adjustments reduce cognitive load. CARE is essentially meeting the person where they are. So here is an example when someone is saying, I need to go home. They're usually in this situation expressing a need for safety or familiarity. Often home is going to refer to a childhood home or a time in their life when they felt secure. So instead of correcting them, we want to join into their reality. We want to ask them, tell me about your home. You can even walk with them for a little bit. And then after that, you can gently redirect to a calming activity. The goal is to meet the emotional need behind those words. Another example, when someone is refusing a shower, it's extremely common and usually tied to a sensory overload. It's modesty, it's fear. And bathrooms often can start out for them, they feel cold, or they're loud, or they're overwhelming situations. So a good way to attempt here is to warm the bathroom up before asking them to get in the shower. You can use a handheld shower or often offer them some simple choices or giving them too many instructions. When we reduce sensory stress and increase their control, resistance will decrease significantly. Another example, Accusations of stealing are rooted in memory loss, not mistrust. So the person misplaces an item and cannot remember doing so. So the brain is now filling in the blanks. The best response here is always going to be empathy. That must be frustrating. Let's look for it together. This creates consistent storage spots and reduces clutter that can help prevent these situations. Arguing in something like this is always going to increase fear and their confusion in the moment. So caregivers often carry the emotional weight of these behaviors, and it's important to normalize the frustration, the grief, and the exhaustion that come with dementia care. No one can do this alone, and encouraging respite, supportive groups, and professional help, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of sustainability. So when caregivers are supported, the person living with dementia will benefit too. Home care becomes incredibly valuable when behaviors increase or when caregivers feel overwhelmed. Trained caregivers can provide safety monitoring, behavior-informed care, structured routines, and professional observation of changes. They also give families breathing room. Sometimes having a neutral, trained person in the home can reduce tension and create a calmer environment for everyone. And so from here, I'm going to pass this over to Summer, and she will go into depth about how Second Family operates differently when it does come to dementia care.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Priscilla. So just to note for everyone, if you are currently experiencing this with your loved one or yourself, you are not alone, and we are here to help. So one thing that I wanted to highlight first is how we are differentiated maybe from others and just as a resource in the community. So one of the biggest misconceptions about dementia care is that all home care services approach it the same exact way. In reality, dementia requires a specialized mindset. So here at Second Family, we focus on a dementia-informed care model. So we have a business model surrounded or that centers our RN right in the middle. So that way, when our clients come on board with us, our RN goes out to do the initial assessment, and she provides an unbiased interpretation / feedback to the clients of what their needs actually are. And there's no financial billing, nothing discussed with the RNs ahead of time, which is why we move forward in this way. But ultimately, it helps for our RNs to develop that sense of trust, especially when we come into these types of situations with clients with dementia, because we really try to take that extra step with our dementia-informed care model to ensure that those clients are well cared for, but also that their loved ones, family members, friends who we're speaking to have the resources available to them as well to provide that assistance to them. So we're looking beyond the diagnosis and understanding the individual, their history, routines, preferences, personality, their unique needs. And our caregivers receive training that specifically addresses dementia-related communication, behavioral changes, redirection techniques, and safety concerns. So one thing that I did want to highlight is during our interview process here at Second Family, we actually have dementia as a part of the interview, in which our recruiter asks the caregiver, you know, let's say you were in this type of scenario with Mr. So-and-so. He's looking for his car. He can't find it anywhere. And he becomes very agitated. What would you do to help him in that situation? What we're looking for is, of course, redirection. As Priscilla mentioned, redirection is very important when working with those with dementia, and it helps to ensure a safe environment and to help de-escalate any agitation or behavioral changes that finding out that there is no vehicle could entail. So again, we work hard to ensure that our caregivers are prepared ahead of time, but also try to reinforce with our caregiver training that we have on board. We also utilize our Care Team 6 model wherever possible, which creates consistency through a dedicated team of caregivers. Familiar faces reduce confusion and help build trust. Equally important is caregiver matching. Technical skills do matter, but personality compatibility often determines whether a care relationship thrives. Behind the scenes, care quality involves ongoing supervision, communication, coaching, and oversight from our office and nursing teams. So all that to be said, you'll have the access to all of this as a client of ours at Second Family. And it ultimately gives you the resources that you need, whether it be you're here because of your loved one, yourself, or just someone that you would like to get some help for. So what can families expect over time? One of the hardest parts of dementia is that it affects the entire family, not just the individual that is diagnosed. Families often experience a wide range of emotions, including fear, frustration, grief, guilt, and uncertainty. Many caregivers describe feeling like they're continuously adapting to a changing situation. As dementia progresses, challenges often include increased confusion, behavioral changes, safety concerns, and greater dependence on others. So it's important to recognize that caregiver burnout is common. Many family caregivers spend years putting their loved one's needs ahead of their own. Seeking support early is not a sign of failure. It's often one of the most important decisions families can make. The type of support needed will naturally evolve as the disease progresses. And that's one thing that I tell all of our families when they come on board with us, especially at our Central Maryland location, is that you have gone over the hardest step, which is realizing that it's time for help and reaching out. Once you encounter that hump, it is not easy to tell yourself, I need help, and make that phone call. So I encourage you, if you're teetering on the fence right now of should I ask for help, should I not, I encourage you to ask for help. At least a phone call to Priscilla or your local Second Family in your area to discuss the services we can provide to help you. So when is it time to bring in home care? This is one of the questions we hear most often. Unfortunately, many families wait until there's a crisis before seeking support. Common signs include missed medications, increased falls, wandering, poor hygiene, weight loss, caregiver exhaustion, or growing safety concerns. Home care is not about taking over. It is about providing additional support where it's needed the most, enhancing independence. Many families start with just a few hours per week to provide companionship, supervision, or respite. As needs change, care can gradually increase. It's also important to understand the differences between companion care, personal care, and skilled nursing services so families can choose the appropriate level of support. So I had brought up Care Team 6 before, and at our Central Maryland location, we do have a network of professionals in the senior care industry. It's a small networking group to help ensure that our clients are cared for across the continuum of care. So if one of our clients comes on board and they need additional assistance with hospice, we have a hospice provider on Care Team 6. Same thing with medical home health. And those are just two of the members. But additional support services are available. If just having our caregivers coming in and our care plan is not enough for the family, which in most cases it tends to be, but of course additional support, therapy sessions, dementia practitioner sessions can be available, and that is something that we can provide to you as a resource. So dementia care works best when everyone is working together. So the whole care team should work in a cohesive unit, and everyone should be working towards the same goals. Families provide invaluable information about the individual's history, preferences, routines, and personality. Caregivers are the eyes and ears in the home, observing changes and providing daily support. Our nursing team helps monitor health concerns, identify trends, and make recommendations when changes occur. Meanwhile, our office staff coordinates schedules, communication, and resources to ensure continuity of care. Strong communication between all members of the team allows concerns to be addressed early and care plans to evolve as needs change. So, as I said, if you're currently going through this circumstance, I encourage you to reach out. It is important that you talk to someone about the resources available and understand that you are not alone. There are a lot of people involved, whether you have private duty care, skilled nursing facility, medical home health. There are a lot of team members involved in the care wherever your care is taking place. So allow that help, and surely we can work with you to encourage you again to get the support that you need, but also reevaluate as necessary and adapt as the condition continues to change. So I know that Priscilla had gone over a couple of real world examples, but I wanted to also touch on a few that our caregivers typically see, not only our caregivers, but also family caregivers. And it can be a little jarring and scary when you are first encountering one of these real world scenarios. So the first is wandering. So of course, the challenge is that the client is trying to leave their home, what's called eloping. This can take place in a home environment, a facility setting, but we are able to step in if this is a worry of yours, to be able to intervene with safety assessments, door alarms, or other recommendations. So because we are already involved and can take a look at the care plan, see what the client's likes, dislikes, any triggers are, our nurse is able to effectively provide a plan from here on out to assess and dictate what our caregivers would find the most success in helping that client. So in this case, involving us could reduce wandering incidents and help to give family peace of mind. But also when we're not there, having some door alarms, increased supervision may be beneficial. But again, we're here to help walk you through what resources are available, because a lot of times we have families come to us and we talk about certain resources or products, and I frequently hear, oh, I never thought about that. And that's okay. That's okay. That's what we're here for. And typically when you're going through a stressful time, you're not thinking about, certain things. And we've been in this industry I've been in this industry 10 years, Priscilla, very close. So, we only know this because of our CSA certifications and also because we have been involved in these real world examples. So again, this is just an example. Another is sundowning. So sundowning can be a little scary, of course, because the client tends to not act like themselves. So sundowning typically occurs in the afternoon hours into the evening. It can include increased agitation, increased confusion, and wandering can be another symptom. So, we typically look at these and we try to, tell the families, listen, a structured evening routine and calming activities would likely be beneficial for this case. And more settled evenings and improved sleep patterns you may be able to see in the near future. Another is caregiver burnout. So that's where you come in as the loved one. Your challenge is that you're exhausted and unable to maintain the schedule. So we would recommend to you respite care and also a gradual increase in home care hours. The outcome that we've seen is that it helps to reduce the stress on the family caregiver or the loved one, and it's sustainable for the family. And that's a very interesting and key word there, is sustainable, right? Because you keep continuing to provide the care for your family member, and it's almost as if it is an innate desire to continue to provide that care, whether it's a parent or a sibling or, just a friend or a loved one in the community, you have a sense of or a desire to continue to care for them on your own. And that's pretty normal. That is pretty normal, but it can lead to burnout because you're putting all of your energy into providing care and not thinking about yourself. So when I say sustainable, that's what we're talking about here. We want to come up with a sustainable plan moving forward that helps to prevent burnout from even starting. The last one I wanted to review is just a safety risk case. Frequent falls, unsafe kitchen use. We do have some clients in the past that had turned on their stove, forgotten they turned on their stove, whether it be gas or electric, and walked away, which of course is a fire hazard. It does not mean if one of your loved ones or someone is experiencing frequent falls that they have dementia. So please don't get me wrong here, but it is a safety risk. If you know that they are a fall risk and they do have dementia, those two together are something to really prioritize when it comes to finding appropriate care for your loved one. So planning ahead for the future. One of the greatest gifts families can give themselves is preparation. So again, we're thinking about sustainability, being sustainable moving forward. While no one can predict exactly how dementia will progress, we can anticipate that care needs will likely increase over time. Planning ahead allows families to make thoughtful decisions rather than crisis-driven decisions. You've heard us say this before, and we can't stress enough. It's better to come to us early rather than be in a crisis. Of course, you can come to us at any time, but it's more helpful for you and your loved one to come to us as early as possible. So in planning ahead, this can include preparing the home, discussing care preferences with your loved one, organizing important documents such as a will or any sort of document in financial planning, power of attorney, those types of documents. Identifying support resources and creating contingency plans. It's equally important to prepare emotionally, though, and recognize that seeking help is a part of the caregiving journey. So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with 3 important messages. First, quality dementia care is built on safety, consistency, communication, and dignity. Second, families do not have to navigate this journey alone. Building support systems early can significantly improve outcomes for everyone involved. And third, planning ahead allows families to make informed decisions and respond proactively as needs evolve. Every dementia journey is different and unique, but with the right support, individuals can continue to experience comfort, engagement, and a high quality of life while families gain confidence and peace of mind.
Awesome, Summer. That was really good. Thank you so much for that portion. Before we do wrap up today, I do want to thank everyone for being here today. If this is a conversation that you want to continue, whether it's about Pocket RN, if it's about dementia support, please reach out to your local Second Family location. You can visit secondfamily.com, or if you're in Texas, our alwaysfamily.com location. We also would like to share our July webinar, which is going to be special since July is a month where we celebrate freedom and we honor those who served. We are dedicating next month's session to our veterans. We will be talking about the unique care needs many veterans face as they age, the VA benefits that can support them, and how our partnership with the Maryland and Washington, D.C. VA offices support them. We will also be having a special guest speaker from Vet Assist joining us, and they will be discussing how Vet Assist can specifically support veterans as well. It's going to be an incredibly valuable conversation for anyone caring for a veteran or simply wanting to understand what resources are available to them. And we hope you will join us. That will be Thursday, July 9th at 1 p.m. And so if anybody had any questions, we just want to open up the floor. If you have any questions from the webinar that we just hosted, Pocket RN, any questions about next month's webinar, dementia care, anything that we could answer for you, the floor is yours.
Don't be shy. Go ahead. Or, of course, if you'd much rather have a one-on-one conversation, we're happy to have that with you too.
Yeah. And regardless, if you have no questions right now, we are so grateful for those of you who have joined us. And we hope that you had something valuable taken from this. And we do hope to see you again next month. We'll leave it open just for a couple more minutes, just in case anybody has anything they want to discuss.
All righty, Megan. If you wanted to submit in the chat, you should be able to submit in the chat.
I just wrote in the chat just in case she wasn't, that might pop up for her where she can see where to submit her question. There we go.
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely, Megan. So happy that it was a support to your staff at Copper Ridge. We are so thankful for your partnership at Copper Ridge.
Yeah.
Hello to Caroline.
I was so grateful you were here, Megan. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. Alrighty, and for everyone else and for those that are watching us on our YouTube channel, please do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or if you wanted to chat about ways that we can best assist you and your loved one with dementia and dementia care. Just to note, we do have a Second Family YouTube page where all of our webinars are posted. All of the recordings from each one is posted so that you can go back and watch it anytime, as well as share it with any of your families, loved ones, any siblings, anyone that you have friends, anyone you want to share it with who could best benefit from the information. It is Second Family Home Health on YouTube.
Yep.
And I just want to thank you all for being here.
Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you all for your support and continue to support Second Family, our webinars. If you do need anything, please, we encourage you to reach out to the location nearest you.
Thank you all so much. We wish you all a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week.
Bye.